the most consistent messages, and again, like I'm gonna channel that Myth of the 20th Century episode I mentioned earlier. The most consistent messages that have come out of the dissident sphere, that's just what I'm going to call it because it's an easy phrase, are lift weights, read old books. The thing with those is those can't be your personality. Those are things you do to help shape your frame of mind, like put you in a healthy mindset so that you can like actually find a healthy, productive personality to have.
Yeah, like
This guy, like this Achilles dude, again, I don't know him from Adam. I know nothing about this guy except he's connected to the Batsphere. I'm sure this dude lifts. I'm sure this dude reads old books. I know those things implicitly from the company. I don't think this guy has a personality, and because he doesn't have a personality, he has no sense of judgment whatsoever.
I'm pretty sure he's never built a fucking birdhouse.
He has probably sculpted his body, but he has never sculpted wood or stone to suit his purposes. No.
And it's just as important as sculpting your body.
It's like, look, if you want a body, if you have a passion for weightlifting, that's cool. That's awesome. It's nice to know how you can work your body in all kinds of different ways to produce results you want. But you got to ask yourself, what am I lifting for? And that could be as simple as, well, I'm lifting so that I don't die prematurely of like all these gross obese, nonsense rigmarole that people do. But that's a different question than how are you using that strength? Like, are you using that strength to work harder, to become more of a man, to become a better rounded individual? Like one who has skills and knowledge under his belt that you can actually use? Or are you doing it so that you can post, pick weirdly cropped pictures of your biceps and like post pictures of all the books you've read on your bookshelf and 50 tweet hell threads about, your takes on some esoteric piece of philosophy that like 12 people in all of human history have read? Because if all you're doing is signaling with those things, congratulations, you're just keep shit watching bug man. You just have different hobbies.
Something
Everything about you is consumptive. You are not producing anything.
well that it kind of makes me think of, something that I've dealt with myself this year. A couple different girls that I've interacted with have asked me the question. It's like, you're a, what's your deal? Like, you're smarter than you let on. And it sort of made me think, it's like, well, why don't I, act like I'm as smart as, some people seem to think I am? And it's like, however smart I am or amn't, that's not what I want to be my defining personality trait. There's a lot more to me than, me being able to remember the name of a snake scientist or, whatever weird knowledge that I've stored up or practical things that I can do. Like, I'd like to be known as the guy that works real hard, or it's like, that fella, he tells you he's going to do something, he always comes through. I think there's a lot more important traits to somebody than how smart they are, how strong they are. Give me something practical that I can measure. Sure, I can measure your biceps, I can measure your IQ, but like, fucking give me something here, dog.
Yeah, but like, what do they do? Those are not things that matter in and of themselves. What matters is what you do with them. Like, there's plenty of smart dudes who spent all their time just chugging down coffee at like weird urban cafes talking about esoteric philosophy who never accomplished anything in their lives. As Calvin Coolidge once said, the world is full of educated derelicts.
Good to see some things haven't changed.
It's the world has always been full of educated derelicts. The problem is that back in the 1800s, they were the sort that could actually foment revolutions, because there were a couple of them that could speak, and there were a couple of them who had enough of a fucking spine to get out there and go, yeah, we should kill this fucking king and let me be in charge. But they didn't have enough spine to actually just be like, okay, the old king's dead, I get to be king.
Everybody was a regular Ned Stark. Oh, I don't know if I want to take power or not.
Yeah, there were a couple of those. Lafayette's one of those guys, but really it wasn't so much that they didn't know if they wanted to take power for some moral reason. It was they're like, oh no, if I'm If I'm the guy who's in charge of these tumultuous times, everyone's going to blame me, and then I'm going to get my head chopped off. Better pawn that off on somebody else, guy.
1, 2, 3, not it.
That's one of the central complaints I have about the French Revolution when I talk to people about it, which is not often. I'll just give the take this way. If any of those dudes like Robespierre, Danton had just stood up and been like, I'm going to be king now because I can be a better king than that guy was, I'd have a lot more respect for him. That's why I like Napoleon. I don't like the fact that you like to quote Napoleon all the time, but I like Napoleon. Napoleon was the only guy who was like, so I'm just going to take over now. Cool. Awesome. Fantastic. Now I'm going to conquer all of Europe because fuck them. That's why.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, somebody's going to. I mean, that's how it's what I don't know why I was thinking about this at work. I was thinking about this idea that modernism has destroyed, that there are natural powers in certain areas. And we went into Afghanistan for 20 fucking years, tried to oust the natural powers of that region, and all of our work fell apart in a fucking day. It had me thinking about the natural power centers in the United States that are suppressed through so much propaganda, through all of the stuff to neuter any type of threat to the establishment that could arise.
I mean, what do you say to it, man?
Yeah. Well,
it's like it's this weird combination of the left wants to constantly appeal to power, but eschew any concept of hierarchy. Like I'm not trying to sound like flowery and intellectual with things, but it's just how I know how to express the terms. It's like they have this deep relationship where they just want to hump the leg of the state because they inherently know the state's working for them, but they also hate any concept of A, that hierarchies exist, and B, horror of horrors, that they may just be this way because that's how nature intends things.